Horrorfied, the show that's sure to give you the heebie-jeebies. I'm your host, Joshua Halstead, and today we are talking about the man, the myth, the legend, the man of 1,000 faces, a godfather of the horror cinema genre. We're talking about Lon Chaney. Chaney was an important figure in the beginning of horror cinema, but a lot of people today seem to have forgotten who he is when they're talking about the horror greats. And so I want to shine a light on him, and for those of you that are more interested in modern horror, you might not have even seen one of his films, and you should really change that, because all those modern horror films you love wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Lon Chaney. Born in 1883, Lon Chaney began his film career in the year 1912 and quickly became known for his makeup and effects work. In 1919, Chaney gave a performance that would change his career forever, that of the Frog in George Leon's Tucker, The Miracle Man. He proved not only how tremendous of a character actor he could be, but also how tremendous of a makeup effects artist he could be. From there, Chaney went on to star in all sorts of different kinds of films where they needed a deformed person or any kind of really visually curious kind of character. Eventually, Chaney settled into mostly horror and dark fantasy films. He did 10 films with horror legend Todd Browning of Freaks and Dracula fame, including one of the most famous lost films of all time, London After Midnight, where he played a character that was eerily similar to Jack the Ripper. Because makeup effects for horror films and for deformed characters and stuff like that didn't really exist much in cinema prior to Chaney, Chaney became sort of the first effects guru. Someone to go on to inspire and open the door for several great makeup effects gurus, including Tom Savini. He is most well known for his roles of Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Eric in The Phantom of the Opera, the latter of which he actually directed. Now, today, makeup effects are commonplace, and we even use CGI for a lot of it. But I want to take a moment to show you guys just how impressive of an artist Lon Chaney was and why he is so important. So here, I'm going to show you a few of his most famous and iconic scary faces. Looking at these always leaves me in awe. In awe not just because of the artistry, and there's a lot of artistry in it, but in awe because this was a man who had a passion for telling beautiful stories of the macabre. Somebody who understood the power and the importance of the horror genre, and whose passion was to tell those stories as best as possible. Somebody who poured himself into every film that he did, who mastered his art so that he could give us these incredible performances that are completely unforgettable. He made these characters not just villains, but humans. When they hurt, we hurt. We feel their pain, but also, when someone needs to be scared of them, we're scared of them too. I think the fact that all of these effects are still genuinely creepy is just a testament to how genuinely effective and talented Lon Chaney was. Chaney died of a throat hemorrhage on August 26, 1930. His funeral was attended by some of the biggest stars in the world. The U.S. Marine Corps sent an honor guard and a chaplain as well. 2 minutes of silence was observed for Chaney all across every studio and office in the MGM lot. He was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park Cemetery next to his father, and 3 years later was joined by his wife. To this day, Chaney's crypt has been left unmarked, and no one quite knows the reason why. Lon Chaney was a true legend, a great, a god among men. But Chaney's important for a lot of reasons. He's important for his contributions to the horror genre. He's important for inspiring some of the greatest horror filmmakers of all time. He's important for inspiring several authors to write some of the best horror stories of all time. He's important for opening the door, making horror more mainstream. But he's also important to me. Because as a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch modern horror films. I wasn't allowed to watch that many horror films, but the ones I was allowed to watch, most of them starred Lon Chaney. He is the face most synonymous to me with horror. He is the man that made me want to watch more horror, that made me want to direct horror and write horror. If it wasn't for Lon Chaney, I wouldn't love the genre that I love so much. Many of my best memories in my life are sitting at home on a Friday night with my family at our old apartments. All of us on the floor or on the pull-out couch, watching an old Lon Chaney movie and eating popcorn and red vines. I remember going down to the old video store that we had in our town and picking out movies, and me always trying to get my dad to pick up an old horror movie, usually one starring Lon Chaney. I remember watching the movie He Who Gets Slapped for the first time and being blown away and feeling the pain of those characters as a 5-year-old kid that hated silent films. Lon Chaney transcends the genre. Lon Chaney transcends the genre. He transcends every trope, every characteristic you can throw at this genre, everything you can say to discredit horror as a legitimate kind of art. Lon Chaney disproves. If you haven't watched Lon Chaney films, I say you should, right now. Here are my recommendations for the best Lon Chaney films for you to watch. So I'm going to obviously give the main ones. I think you should certainly watch his version of Phantom of the Opera, which is absolutely gorgeous and breathtaking, as well as his version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I would also say you should watch He Who Gets Slapped. Every Lon Chaney film is worth watching. Those are my recommendations for the best and most iconic and important ones for you to watch. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.